Hello, and at long last, welcome back to the Forgotten Continent. We've got an exciting episode today. We're going to be looking over a lot of key changes that have happened in the area surrounding Voluspa, including 2 new collaborations that have come in, and all the exciting things that have happened behind the scenes over the past couple of months. So we're going to start our journey around the park today in probably the most obvious spot, and you likely spotted it whizzing around in those opening cinematics, and this is the changes to Voluspa itself. A couple months back I handed the park over to Blue Avocado to have a look around the park, and we quickly noticed that the coaster I'd built was definitely not up to scratch. So Blue Avocado stepped up and he used a 1 meter tool mod, which basically allows you to build the coaster in 1 meter sections, to retract the entire thing, do new heart lining, new colours, and even adding Gerstlauer trains using another mod. I wish I could show you a PV for the actual thing, but as you can probably tell by the opening cinematics, I am struggling a lot for FPS, and Cheat Engine isn't quite bringing it up to scratch for me. That being said, I'm hoping to release this in due course, but trust me for now when I say this thing is incredible, and Blue Avocado has done an unbelievable job on this. And then there's a second thing that really helped to take this coaster to the next level, and it all comes from our second collaborator, Pascii, who stepped up and redid my entire attempt at Gerstlauer supports. I feel like my area of expertise sort of begins and ends when it comes to theming, and with details on this level of realism, I feel like you need to bring in someone who can do it better, and that's exactly what Pascii has done. Not only has he redone the footers, the connectors, and the actual structures themselves, but he's also done custom launch fins and the brake sections as well. This has just really helped to cement a level of realism in what is, quite honestly, a fairly unrealistic park. This coaster really couldn't be what it is now without these 2 collaborators, so I want to extend a massive thank you and a massive shout out to them too. And it's paved the way for lots of future collaborations, which I'm going to talk about very soon in due course. So for the second half of this video, we're going to turn our attention away from the coaster and actually to look around the rest of the land itself. Beginning just to the left of the coaster, we now have a new theatre, and this has been part of my attempt to basically introduce more family elements into the land and also flesh out the story. I'm super happy with how this theatre came about. It was actually my first instance of using TMTK in those little thatched roofs on the top. And this is Sigurd, Dragon Slayer. I'm not exactly sure how this stage show would work on the inside, but I imagine it'd be something around the idea of storytelling, prophecy and something along those lines, but all that really matters is that it looks cool. The lighting was a lot of fun to work with, lots of fun to work with textures and drapes and stuff like that. Building lots of custom objects as well to go about the space to make it a bit more interesting. And I would love if guests actually did come in and sit on these seats, but they do come through because we've hidden a toilet block away, so it's a very fancy toilet with that. Another new addition is this new broken tower that I've sort of used to segment the 2 parts of the Viking land, and it acts as a slight weenie as you walk through the first part of the land. And this basically allows us to break it up into multiple sections. So we have a small Viking smithy here, where well, you can't actually smith iron there, but it looks like you could. As well as I describe it as a marketplace, but really it's just some wooden structures that surround a place where you could meet the mascots of the land. And I wish we had a Viking here, but we'll have to do with the Planko pirate for now. And then the next addition is our first kiddie ride, which is a magic twirl called Cedar. And I know I've absolutely butchered that pronunciation, but it basically relates to the idea of black magic in the Viking era. So I thought it fit in quite well with the sort of witch theme of the magic twirl. We're kind of limited with Planko rides, so it's always fun to have something that's a little bit different to usual. And just behind that, you might have noticed that we now have 360-degree immersive theming. Yes, this is Disney-esque in a sense, not quite. But this involves building a custom rock face, which Blue Avocado really helped me to build out the initial pieces, and then I expanded it around to cover this whole area. And this actually hides the exit for Voluspa, which runs underneath and behind the rock face, but it's a very thin facade, so it allows us to work with that. And eventually I will be building the gift shop, but at the moment we just have an empty shell of a building hidden behind closed doors because I've got to figure out how to build a Viking interior in such a small space, which is quite ambitious. But this has basically brought together the land into one complete coherent piece, and it's actually a lot larger than I imagined before. And I'm really happy with how the guests flow throughout the land, and there's a good balance between thrills with Voluspa, but also the family and story elements as well. And you may have also spotted in the background of some of our shots a little woody in the background. And that's something we'll be talking about in the next episode as we discuss the third and final land in the Forgotten Continent. It's been so much fun to get back again talking to you guys about what we've been doing. I've been struggling a lot with FPS and frame rate, so that's why it's been slowing down a lot of my progress, but nonetheless I'm really keen to keep pressing on through because I think this project has potential to be a place that you would want to hang around with and explore. So I can't wait to speak to you guys next time as we show you through the third and final land and everything we got coming with that.